I'm gonna guess that you've already heard of Bugsnax, whether it be from the Onion's review of the game that has been chopped up into their accolades trailer, the theme song by Kiro Kiro Benito, or the memes surrounding such snacks as Bunger.
A brain run by Bunger.
Bugsnax has made its claim as being a meme game. People use it as a punchline, and I think that's really undeserved. It's genuinely a sweet, heartfelt, and deep game that I highly recommend. I'm gonna tell you why you should definitely check out this game and why it deserves way more credit than it gets. In Bugsnax, developed and published by Young Horses of Octodad fame, you play as a journalist called to a mysterious island by famed explorer Elizabeth Megafig to interview her on a phenomenon known as Bugsnax. Half bug, half snack, there's nothing quite like them. When you arrive on Snaktooth Island, you discover that Lisbert is missing, and from journalist to detective you go, starting on a quest to find Lisbert, reunite the townsfolk, and discover the secrets of the island. The core gameplay revolves around catching the snacks. You're equipped with multiple tools that allow you to do so. At first, you only have a canopy-type net that you can set down and let snacks wander into, a handheld net to snatch up the stunned ones, and a slingshot for your sauces. But over time, you amass more and more tools. The discovery of unlocking each item and figuring out how to use them is the fun part, so I won't dive into detail on them. You're to discover that for yourself. The townsfolk are all hungry after the collapse of their social structure of their village, so you as a successful hunter are tasked with feeding them, whether it be for a scientific research.
I'll need some live ribblepedes. If you wouldn't mind, could you help me find some?
A personal vendetta.
All right, last bit of business. Let's get revenge on those Bungers.
Or finding artistic inspiration.
If I want new ideas, I need a new look. How about a wild new hairdo? Get me a Pineangela and we'll see what we can do.
You gotta go out hunting. Each of the Bugsnax has a unique path that they walk on, which you can see when you use your Snakscope tool. Whether it be a Roodle wiggling around in a circle, or a Kooky scuttling across the tundra, you're able to plan ahead and set up the most efficient solution to catching your snacks. Take the snack back to the villager and then feed it to them. What makes Bugsnax so unique is that Grumpuses slowly turn into them, bit by bit. A strawberry arm, a carrot leg, all formed by the snacks they've eaten. At first, it's random which limb gets transformed when you feed your friends, but there is a customization aspect later on in the game. There's a social aspect to the game as well. As a journalist and honorary detective, you're on the case for finding Lisbert and her partner Eggabell, and you must interview the townsfolk to gather more information. Ask them as many questions as you'd like to put together all the puzzle pieces, but they'll only answer your questions once you get them to come back to town. There's a give and a take to the situation. You give them snacks, and they give you answers. All information is recorded in your journal. Clues and leads for finding Lisbert. The Grumpedia, a documentation about all your friends and what they know about Lisbert. The Bugapedia, a documentation about all the snacks you've collected, which, it's got a few cute things on it. If you press the F key, you can even hear them speak.
Bunger!
There's your quest list, which is pretty self-explanatory. Your snack pack, where you can carry all of your bug snacks. You can release them if you need to. A map that doubles as a fast travel tag and triples as a weather report. And finally, your tools that will help you capture your snacks. Every snack, most environmental items, and every character can be examined with a camera device called the Snakscope. You'll get hints on catching snacks, along with personal anecdotes and cute sayings by each of the NPCs. Examining different environmental items clues you in on the personal lives of the townsfolk and the lore of the world. It's an essential tool for any aspiring journalist to use. The next tool I want to talk about is a bit of a spoiler in case you want to go into the game blind to its mechanics, so fair warning. Skip to the on-screen time code if you want to avoid spoilers. Alright, let's go. This game has a bit of a customization aspect to it in a very unconventional way. As we have seen previously, when a character eats a bug snack, their limb will turn into that food. You can have a strawberry arm, or an egg nose, or a popsicle foot. At first, it's random which limb gets transformed, but early on into the game, you get a device from an unnamed character. The Snacktivator allows you to choose which limb gets transformed when you feed a character. That's great and all, But what if you want to, say, turn Filbo into one big Strabby, but you only have one Strabby and a bunch of other snacks? Later on in the game, the mysterious scientist, a friend named Floofty, upgrades your Snacktivator. Now you can transform any previously transformed limb into any previously eaten snack. Play with different combinations to make your own custom Grumpuses. Yeah, something that I really like about the game is that when you go to quit, you can see a message that asks you if you're sure you want to quit. It also says that you'll lose your progress since your last checkpoint, which is, typical game stuff. However, Bugsnax also tells you when the last checkpoint was. With autosave games like this, besides showing a little icon when a game saves, I've never actually seen a game display when the game was last autosaved. I'm sure other games have it. The thing is, this is such a rarity that it genuinely surprised me when I saw it with Bugsnax, and I think more games should have it. Anyway, let's move on. I've been saying the term Grumpus a lot, and I bet you're a little confused. In the world of Bugsnax, the NPCs are these fuzzy Muppet-looking creatures called Grumpuses. The devs describe them as, quote, little flip-top trash can creatures. And it's easy to see why. Filbo Fiddlepie, deputy mayor, and the first member of the town you meet in person, or would it be in Grumpin? He looks like a little blue trash can covered in fur. The designs are simple enough for a child to draw, and everyone is quite distinct. One thing to note is that each Grumpus has a key accessory on their body that will persist even after snackification, which leads to easy identification. Filbo has his mayoral sash, Floofty has their glasses and bow tie, Triffany has her vest. It's all a neat little design detail that I didn't pick up on at first because I was so concerned with customizing each Grumpus. The NPCs you'll meet in Bugsnax are all really fleshed out in terms of character and motivation. Their silly names may be really deceiving because they're actually quite deep. It makes for an amusing time when you're trying to explain the game to someone and you have to say something like, Triffany Lottablog and Wambus Tribbleham are having marital troubles, which is an actual plot in the game. Each character has escaped to Snaktooth Island to toil with the personal issues of theirs that, over time, you come to understand may be a bit deeper than first expected. I really don't want to spoil anyone's storylines because they're a joy to watch unfold, but I assure you, there's this loving balance of drama and comedy that fleshes out each character. Speaking of comedy, there's something to love with every character, and you really can't stay mad at anyone if they mess up.
You don't know a thing about love! That's why your wife left you!
I'm gonna do violence to you.
Every voice actor does a phenomenal job with their characters. Filbo has such a cute and enthusiastic energy to his lines.
Oh, wow! How'd this ship get here? Oh, there's a balloon? Huh. It looks just a little bit, exploded, but I'm sure we can patch that up, eventually.
Wiggle's sing-songiness to her voice and her tendency to break out into song is just very uplifting and cute.
Sorry, Gramble. Inspiration is so hard to find. I just have to sing wherever it strikes me.
Triffany's accent is just so much fun. There's this one specific line that I love because of the way she pronounces the words with her Wisconsin accent.
I keep telling myself I'll get around to C&M, but it's just easier to, stay out here with the bones.
Though, I think my favorite voice in the game is Cromdo Face.
Hello, friend. Welcome. Come on over. Take a look. I assure you, you won't be disappointed.
This character is just discount Danny DeVito, specifically his portrayal of Frank Reynolds in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I'm the trash man!
The same sleazy salesman voice and personality. He's a ton of fun. As a person who identifies as both bisexual and transgender, I find good LGBT representation to be very heartwarming and important to me. I love it when a piece of media has a character that's a respectful, complex, and well-written portrayal of a non-straight or non-cisgender individual. And Bugsnax has that in droves. Right out of the gate, in the opening videotape sent to the journalist by Lisbert, you see Eggabell run up and kiss Lisbert right in front of the camera.
And she's a real charmer.
Eggabell, stop.
What? The people deserve to know.
You're the only one who gets to know.
Okay.
I was kind of blown away by that. A game targeted towards kids Having two girls kiss right at the beginning? People can do that? It's not just Lizbert and Eggabell. There is romantic tension between Snorpy and Chandlo throughout the game, with it being very obvious that the two are into each other. That's sort of a spoiler, but you'll pick up on that right away. It's cute to see a relationship between two men unfold in such a sweet way. In media aimed towards younger folk, you'll typically only see two girls in a relationship if they're to include LGBT representation at all. It's refreshing to see a couple consisting of two guys for once. There's also a non-binary character in the game. The aforementioned Floofty is Snorpy's sibling and goes by they/them pronouns, and it's just a thing that's accepted by the townsfolk. Nobody has an issue with their identity. Nobody questions them, nobody harasses them. This sort of representation, where a character just exists as being LGBT, is so refreshing. You don't need to make a big deal out of a character coming out or have some sort of conflict where someone is homophobic or transphobic. Just letting people exist is sweet, and I'd like to thank Young Horses for writing these characters in such a loving way. The Grumpuses are only half of the equation when it comes to the characters. The Bugsnax themselves are a whole nother deal. You take a bug, you take a snack, you mush them together, you get Bugsnax. Each snack has its own pattern of walking around, specific sauce they like or dislike, specific method of capture, and even a calorie count. Also, they're fully voice acted. Similar to Pokemon, Bugsnax all have their own specific cries consisting of them calling out their own name. I think this is the biggest draw to the game. The way the snacks cry out their own names just totally adds to the cuteness factor. It's just so adorable. Combined with the simplistic shapes of their bodies and the cute little googly eyes, there's nothing you can't love about the snacks. The concepts are so cute and creative. There's a hermit crab that's a bunch of pickles and hides in his jar. A snail that's also a cinnamon roll. A pill bug that's one of 4 kinds of citrus fruits that curls up and becomes the fruit when scared. A slug that's also an egg. Well, you can't all be winners. The snacks are so simplified in shape that I don't think many of them will trigger anyone's entomophobia. I'm personally not a fan of bugs that aren't butterflies or moths, and I'm perfectly fine with playing the game. The art style of the game lends to the snacks to being wholly cute. With that, I'd like to talk about the art of the game. One pastime of mine is that I like to collect art books. I've got 7 of them right now, and I love just sitting back and seeing their artistic process behind the various shows, games, and movies that I like. Concept art is perhaps my favorite thing to see. The early designs of characters and environments, things that were considered and scrapped, notes on design processes. Bugsnax doesn't have an art book, but Young Horses does regularly post Throwback Thursday posts on their Twitter. Concept art, early builds, scrapped ideas, all these provide insight on the design process behind the game. For example, before Grumpuses, various species were designed and considered. There are these jelly bean looking creatures that you can see in the early builds of the game. Grumpuses that resemble sheep, all with various horns. Frog Grumpuses, also seen in early builds of the game. And for some reason the frogs are fuzzy, and I don't know how I feel about that. It makes me uncomfortable. One cute piece of concept art is how Grumpus designs changed over time, as detailed in The Evolution of Filbo Fiddlepie. From Chumbly to Norman to Filbo, there's this through line that you can follow with the designs. Chumbly has this basic trash can shape and blue body, the mayor has the bulging eyes, and it all culminates into the Filbo we know and love today. This part isn't really behind the scenes art, but I had nowhere else to put this segment. We'll get back to concept art in just a moment. A design aspect I love in-game is the quest list illustrations. Each quest has an accompanying pencil drawing that corresponds to what the quest is. Gotta knock down spider webs from a windmill? The journalist has doodled it. Filbo has been yeeted across the map and bonked his head on a tree? The journalist has lovingly depicted it. You're gonna interview someone? There's a unique dialogue illustration for every interview quest. The roughness of the drawings are all so cute and adds a bit of immersion to the fact that, yeah, your quests are written down in a journal. The art is sketchy, smudged, unrefined, and so animated and full of personality. It's a detail that goes such a long way. Anyway, back to concept art. I really appreciate the transparency behind the concepts of the game. Creating a game isn't a one-and-done situation with designs. There's a testing phase to see what works. Did you know that at one point, the team considered having you dismantle Bugsnax and plate them to be served? They would also cry out in pain. It's absolutely horrifying. Thank you for not putting this in the game. People claim that Bugsnax in its current state is a secret horror game, but this would have just been blatant horror. There's a wide variety in terms of art style with the Bugsnax concepts. There's digital art, colored pencil sketches, felt tip pen doodles, and even snacks made of Play-Doh and googly eyes. Some of the art depicts the snacks without their trademark googly eyes, instead having more beady, buggy eyes. You can see rough concepts of what would later become our beloved Bungers. Some of the early concept builds show prior names for the snacks, showing that multiple names have been considered. Lolives used to be called Aloves. Ribblepedes used to be called Gribs. Shishkabugs used to be called Kebubs. And I assume Orbinge is the previous name for peel bugs, considering the requirement for the quest in this video of scrap traps. Back to general concept art, there's also sketches of things like the main layout of Snaxburg, and how the various houses are constructed. An aerial view of Snaxburg shows where each Grumpus lives, along with what environments surround the town. The arrow pointing to the Scorched Gorge actually says desert instead of desert, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Something else I noticed is that this isn't even the final layout of the town. Shelda's house is located close to the Scorched Gorge on the map, when in the final build, it's situated by Wambus's farm and the outhouse. This is a very minor detail, but it goes to show how things change over time. My favorite piece of town concept art is this isometric view of the town. Things are really coming together in this piece. And as someone who can't draw environments at all, I'm always amazed by people who can do this sort of thing. Earlier, I briefly mentioned that one of the tools you can use is a slingshot for sauces. Sauces can lure snacks over to a location of your choosing. However, before sauces, the concept of lures was considered. Meaty, salty, fruity. One would seemingly have to choose lures that would match the type of snack that they're trying to catch. Sketches and full models of lures have been posted on Twitter. The video of the 2017 build shows the player picking up a salty lure and throwing it on the ground. It seems like the slingshot came into consideration later on after this. The sauce concept art is really cute as well. There are multiple designs considered for each type of sauce. The cheese sauce one has these Swiss cheese-esque holes and is quite cute. There seems to be a concept for a honey type of sauce, as evidenced by this render, but no honey sauce is even included in the game. But the model is included in the game, just laying around in Snorpy's cabin in the Sugar Pine Woods. You can't scan it though, it just seems to be a little Easter egg. Concept videos show various builds of gameplay ideas. At one point, Bugsnax was going to be a procedural town building game, where relationships would form between the townsfolk. This would have impacted how they worked together to build the town. Another concept was that the game would have been an on-rails shooter type to collect the snacks in a certain amount of time. There's also another early build that simply involves the player throwing nets from a single area and catching the snacks before, Yeah, I'm glad this idea was scrapped. This is horrifying. Yeah, that's gonna stay in your head for at least a week. You're welcome. The Kiro Kiro Bonita song is one thing, but I want to talk about the in-game soundtrack, composed by Seth Parker. The soundtrack has kept me sane this past summer when doing my homework. I'd turn on the full soundtrack video and just jam out to this upbeat yet chill tunes while doing homework for 4 straight hours, because I'm insane and I don't want to keep my work waiting for later. I was even listening to the soundtrack as I wrote the script for this video. There's this certain nostalgic sense to these synth-like tunes to the music. There's a bit of what I assume is chiptune music mixed in with these other electronic sounds. The soundtrack is also perfectly composed for the first section of the game. The game's title menu song, Sunrise over Snaktooth Island, feels like waking up to a new day with how the sounds rise up and get louder, all with this underlying gentle beat. and then what I assume is a synth piano kicking in. I don't know how to describe the song in musical terms, but something about the instruments just feels like a throwback. In the game proper, Snak Attack plays. Unlike how the title implies, it's a quaint series of notes as you arrive on Snaktooth Island and are kicked off your balloon. Mysteries await. Learning the ropes kicks in, and like the nighttime setting, it's quiet and peaceful as you're getting your bearings and helping Filbo around. Arriving in Garden Grove, Those Darn Bungers starts playing, and the sun should be rising at this point. The day is getting started and things are getting more energetic. Catch some Bungers and a Shishko bug, and head on over to town. Return to Snaxburg marks your first arrival to town, and Filbo's return. It's a bit melancholic in nature. Filbo went out to find Lizbert and Eggabell, but he failed. Whatever is he going to do now? What you're going to do is interview him, because after all, you're the journalist, is the song that plays whenever you interview a Grumpus, and it's one of my favorite songs in the game. It sounds like a ticking clock combined with an electronic music box to me. Ticking clocks in music and in other audio-visual media may imply restricted time, but this track uses it in such a calm manner that it feels like you have all the time in the world to find Lizbert. The music is perfect to accompany the opening events to the game, and it sets the mood for a cute, quirky experience. Some other tracks I enjoy are the Digsite, the song that plays in the Scorched Gorge at nighttime. It's a perfect nighttime song. Calm, but not lulling me to sleep. There's still a sense of adventure accompanying it, along with a tinge of mystery. You wonder what's hidden beneath the sands and behind the rocks as you stop to play tag with Barbecue Bunger. The official soundtrack video on YouTube is also really adorable. Instead of something like a still image of the album cover, you see a video of the townsfolk all jamming out in the middle of Snaxburg, all on a loop. It's so clever and creative. Lights change color, confetti falls, and the boombox is bouncing around. Really cute decision. There's honestly not much to say in terms of downsides to this game. The controls are all very tight and intuitive. The tools given to you are very easy to learn and very versatile. The quests are all fairly balanced. There's just a few issues that feel more like gripes than anything, like personal things. First off, sometimes the quest details can be a bit confusing. Wiggle's quest Fly Me to the Moon has some wording that's a bit vague. Pointing out the full moon implies that there is a lunar cycle in the game, and the white Cheepoof is only available during the full moon. My first exposure to Bugsnax was not my own playthrough, but actually through Vinny Vinesauce's. During his playthrough, he says the following.
This full moon only.
And then he asks,
should I wait for the full moon, you think, chat? Is it worth it?
Vinny later catches the white Cheepoof, but there's still that initial implication of the lunar cycle, and that it ties in with the availability of snacks. However, the white Cheepoof's only restriction is that it comes out at night. I felt like that quest could have been worded better. Another irk that I have is that there is a weather cycle, and that impacts the gameplay, but only for one snack. The caramel popsick can only be found when it's raining. That would be fine enough, but honestly I feel the whole snacks only come out during certain weather thing is really underutilized, because only one snack has this requirement. If one is just happening across all the snacks and not rigorously searching, caramel popsick is easy to miss, especially if you're not using the snack scope at every opportunity and you catch the caramel goop in your sights. There's also another snack whose capture methods are extremely specific, and I could only find them after I looked it up. Wafstakarak is found in the Simmering Springs, starting at 4 in the morning, but only if you ring the triangle hung by where Wiggle used to be before you bring her back to town. Unless you're constantly scanning things with your snack scope, you're gonna miss the hints of the breakfasty bits and the note on the triangle to try and ring it in the morning. I certainly did on my first playthrough. Wiggle's old area where the triangle is rather small and isolated, and one really wouldn't expect other Bugsnax to be up there. Compared to the rest of Simmering Springs, it goes largely avoided. Wafstakarak is another one of those way too specific to catch Bugsnax that it kinda goes unutilized. I wouldn't have found this snack if I wasn't trying to go for a 100% snack completion rate and then looked it up. Perhaps a better way of guiding the player towards the triangle would be a quest. Someone wants breakfast and they can only be sated by waffles and sausages. They heard from Wiggle that sometimes in the morning as she's practicing her triangle playing, a snack with those specifications comes out from the sea, and now they want to taste. Load times are also quite long, but that may be the fault of my computer being garbage, I don't know. The adorable loading screens really soften the blow. They display snacks that you've caught so far, and they'll fill up over time as you discover new ones. When you enter Snaxburg, the townsfolk are shown instead. It's all cute details. Other than these gripes, which really aren't game-breaking in the slightest, the game is perfect. I can't think of anything else I'd change, beyond maybe making the environments a bit bigger and having more to explore. But for what it is, every area is packed to the brim, and it feels so large and ripe for exploration. When going into Bugsnax, I was honestly quite surprised with how much I enjoyed it, and I consider it one of my favorite games of all time now. The memes really lowered my expectations, but even without this lowered expectation, I was blown away by the creativity, thoughtfulness, and intuitiveness of the game. It's a charming game that I've been recommending to all of my friends because it's such a lovable concept with excellent writing. Bugsnax is a game I wish came out when I was a kid. I wish it was a game that I didn't fully understand as a kid but still enjoyed and held nostalgic memories for, and then came back to it as an adult to fully absorb how finely crafted it is. It's a perfect game for kids and adults of any age, and I highly recommend you try it out, or at least watch someone else play it. The game is currently on PlayStation 4 and 5, as well as on the Epic Games Store, and it's listed to come out on Steam in 2022. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you like this, or maybe a comment and tell me your thoughts on the game. I appreciate all feedback. If you want to support me, I have a Ko-fi for donations, and a Twitter account where I post my art. Thank you, and I hope you have a nice day.